Hi, this is Michael Cullen for Film Sound Tutorials, and this is another video in my video series of a one-man workflow for post-film sound. So in this tutorial, we're going to talk about dialogue editing. And so in the previous videos, we set up my session and we imported my AAF. And now I'm going to go through the audio clips within the AAF and organize the dialogue clips into my dialogue tracks below. And first off, I'm going to change my solo mode to make sure that it's in XOR. So we can do that by going Options, Solo Mode, XOR. And this is the easiest way I've found to go in between different clips, which is what we're going to have to do a lot within dialogue editing. And I'm going to start back here in the end of the film. So to dialogue edit, I'm going to go through every audio clip that was recorded on set on a clip-by-clip basis to see which microphone picked up the cleanest angle for that specific shot. And so here we're going to start with the puppets dialogue. And so I'm going to click on the first clip. I'm going to do Shift S, which is just solo, and let's listen to it.
Murphy, he's got guns on 13 hostages. He wants $1 billion and Hawaiian
And so that wasn't bad.
Murphy, he's got guns on 13 hostages.
Much cleaner.
Murphy, he's got guns on 13 hostages. He wants $1 billion.
All right, so I believe that A2, or this clip, was the best clip. So let's get this, and then we'll hit Windows Alt to elevator and duplicate this clip down to my dialogue tracks. And so it doesn't really matter which track I put this clip on, as long as I stay consistent on putting the same character on the same track for the entire scene. And so I'm going to put the puppet on dialogue 2. All right, so let's go to the next shot.
And Hawaiian independence. And Hawaiian independence. And Hawaiian independence.
So it sounds like 2 and 3 are pretty good.
And Hawaiian independence.
But it sounds like 3 has a little more background noise. So I'm going to hit 2 again and then drag it down. All right, moving on. Let's see what we got here. Doesn't sound like anything, just like fill. So I'll bring it down just so I can fill that gap that I have. Let's see what I have here. All right, so this actually sounds like it's a temp effect that the editor put in to help tell the story when she was editing. So I'm just going to drag this and put this into my PFX track. And I'm going to mute it because I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to use it, but I have it there just in case. All right, let's see what happens after this. So it sounds like maybe the first one was the best. Yeah, because the number 2 was a little more muffled, so let's bring that down. And moving on.
I want $1 billion and Hawaii independence today!
All right, so now it looks like we have our gunman.
I want $1 billion!
A little echoey.
I want $1 billion!
A little bit better.
I want $1 billion!
That sounds like a lav. It's a little muffled.
I want $1 billion and Hawaii independence today!
All right, so definitely for this shot, I would say A1 is the best. Let's throw him down dialogue 4. Let's see what happens for the next shot.
And Hawaii and Hawaii.
Not as good.
And Hawaii.
Okay.
And Hawaii.
Definitely not as good. So let's bring down A1 again. And normally it does happen if it's within the same shot. You'll normally pick the same microphone over and over again. But you have to do your due diligence and go clip by clip to make sure that you have the cleanest audio for that specific shot.
Bruh. All right. Bruh. Bruh.
No.
Bruh.
Yeah, definitely A1 again. Bringing it down. And let's see what we have here.
Murphy, come back here.
All right, so now we have the sergeant talking.
Murphy, come back here.
It's not bad.
Murphy, come back.
No.
Murphy, come.
And that definitely sounds like the lav on here. We have a lot of cloth rustle, so that's going to be unusable. So let's see what we have.
Murphy, come back here.
That sounds pretty clean.
Murphy, come back here.
I'm going to go with A1. Let's put her on DX3 since I haven't used that yet. And so, as we can see within this clip, it sounded like we had some sound effects that were recorded of him taking the bullhorn. And so we would call these PFX, or production sound effects. And so what we'll do is split this by hitting B, and let's drag this PFX onto my aptly named PFX track just by holding Windows. And great, so now we have our effects split out onto a separate line. All right, let's move on.
Back down, Sergeant!
Not as good.
Back down, Sergeant!
Oh, much better.
Back down, Sergeant! Back down, Sergeant!
And the fourth one sounds really clean, but it sounds a little harsh.
Back down, Sergeant!
Versus this third one,
Back down, Sergeant!
which is a little more full-bodied. So let's use that one for the puppet. And the puppet was on DX2. And then it sounds like she makes an exhale. And so let's make sure we get that as well.
Back down, Sergeant!
I think that's this little broken out clip right here. And so that's going to go into DX3. So with that, you can kind of see the process of dragging down the clips. Now this is all good. However, when you're editing dialogue, you can't have all of these empty spaces in between all the clips. And so now what we're going to have to do is find fill for our empty spaces. And so fill is just the room tone or the ambience of a scene that is happening when the character isn't talking. And so you can normally find good fill at the beginning of an audio clip or in between a character's lines. So for example, here we have a little space that we need to fill. And it looks like the gunman doesn't say anything at this little area.
All right?
And so we could probably take this little area and then fill the gap that we have here. And so let's see how that sounds.
Independence today, bruh. Or
Now that's okay, but you can hear that the breath repeats itself. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just scroll through this clip a little bit by holding Windows and then the minus key on my keypad.
Independence today, bruh.
And that sounds a little bit better. So let's try to pull that out too. Can't pull that out. And do a little crossfade.
Hey, bruh. Or I execute every single one of these foos.
Okay, so that helped for that transition. Let's see what else we can find. And so we can pull this out, hopefully. Yep. And I'll just fade that in and out, hitting D and G. And it looks like we're going to have to add a little fill here to get back into him. So let's see what we have here. See, that's not bad. So we'll put this in here, crossfade it up, go here, crossfade it down. All right.
I want $1 billion.
And so we need a little fill before the gunman talks. And if I pull out this handle, it looks like I have some extra space, so that should be good.
I want $1 billion. And Hawaii.
Of course, we're going to have to do a little crossfade here to smoothen that cut.
$1 billion. And Hawaii independence today, bruh. Or I execute every single one of these foos.
And so now you can see that I'm just filling up the gaps that were left with the cuts that the editor made. So it looks like we have some fill right here.
Murphy, come back here.
It looks like we can put some of this here. And you kind of get the point. So now let's listen to our work so far. So I'm going to select all of these guys, Shift S to solo all of them. And so let's see what the best takes from each shot sound like.
Hostages. He wants $1 billion and Hawaiian independence.
Look, I want $1 billion and Hawaii independence today, bruh. Or I execute every single one of these foos.
Murphy, come back here.
Back down, Sergeant.
Awesome. So that sounds much better than the audio within our guide track. And of course, I'm going to have to go through this again just to clean up all of the little extra spaces that I didn't touch on. So that's basically how we do fill. Now let me show you another aspect of dialogue editing. And let's go to another scene. Let's go over to the scene where Murphy is talking to a potential jumper. And so here's Sandy on top of the building. And because Sandy was filmed on a high structure, you can hear within her dialogue, there's a lot of wind noise. Let's first pick the best microphone out of the two.
I'm gonna do it. I'm sick of this. I'm gonna do it. I'm sick of this.
And so that one sounds much better, but you can hear that there's a lot of wind. But I think I can get rid of it. So let's pull that down. And I'll put her into DX2. Let's see what we got here.
Nope, no, you're not. It's not gonna happen. What's your...
Sounds pretty good.
Nope, no, you're not.
Definitely not.
Nope, no, you're not.
A little bit further away.
Nope, no, you're not.
No.
Nope, no, you're not. It's not gonna happen.
And that sounds like a lav. So I'm going to say this first one was probably the boom, and that sounds the best, so we'll bring that into DX1.
Sandy? Sandy?
And again, the one with the wind sounds a little bit cleaner. So let's pull that down to DX2. All right, so now we have a basic checkerboarding here. Let's put a little fill just to fill up the spaces that I have. And so I found a little, it looks like there's a little extra space there that I can pull in. And I'm just gonna solo both of these tracks so I can only hear these
Look
two.
at this.
Nope, no, you're...
It sounds like there's reading here, so I can't use that. Let's see if I can pull anything here. Yep, looks good.
Name, little lady.
Sandy? Sandy?
All right, and so we definitely need to clean up these clips. And so when you're dialogue editing, and you have a situation like this, where the best take needs a little work to sound cleaner, this is an opportunity when you can use your X track. And so for these clips, I definitely need to take out the low rumble that comes from the wind. And so first I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to duplicate and elevator them down to my X track. And that's just to keep them for safe storage. And so when I work on the ones above, then I have these clips here just in case I want to go back to how they originally sound. And because of that, I'm going to name them original within their clip name. So we're going to say original on that one, and I'm going to rename this one original as well. So now let's remove the wind from these audio clips. So I'm going to click on the first one. I'm going to go up to Audio Suite, and I'm just going to get the default EQ within Pro Tools. And I'm going to do a high pass filter to get rid of the low frequencies. And so the human voice doesn't go below 80 hertz. And so it would be fine for me to cut all the frequencies below 80 because it's not going to affect the timbre of her voice. And so here's my high pass filter, and I'm going to render that out. And you can definitely see here now the clip has a lot less of those large waveforms. And so let's listen to it to see how it sounds.
I'm gonna do it. I'm sick of this.
And wow, that sounds so much better. So let's also do this on the second clip. And you can definitely see how that cleaned up as well.
Sandy?
And we could probably even go a little bit further since that one had a lot more wind.
Sandy?
Okay, great. So now that we changed these audio tracks, we have to mark them to let ourselves or the mixer know these have been altered from their original state. And so first let's rename them. And I'm going to put EQ'd because that's what I did. And I'm going to do that on the second one as well. And then I'm going to change the color of the track so it's very apparent within the session that I altered these clips. And so I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to go over, and then instead of changing the track color, you can click on this drop down and do clips in track. And I like to do the opposite of whatever color it currently is, so that would be orange. One last thing too. It sounds like Sandy has a little lip smack within her audio here.
I'm gonna do it.
And so the lip smacks are kind of annoying when you hear them in a film. And so I like to take those out. And so one thing that I can do, I'll just break this by hitting B for break. And then I can do my rolling feature by hitting Windows and then minus key to roll that click away. And so it sounds like this.
I'm gonna do it.
Sounds much better. And another way that we could have gotten rid of it is a lesser known feature within Pro Tools, is where you can literally write out the waveform within a clip. So if we zoom in really close to the clip right here, and if I take my pencil tool, I can just draw it out. And so let's see how that sounds.
I'm gonna do it.
And there you go. So now the click is gone. So of course I'm gonna have to clean this up as well, but that is the basics of how you do dialogue editing. So after quite a bit of work, your dialogue edit should look like this, where you have all the clips from every single shot split out and organized within your dialogue tracks. And of course, I've added a bunch of fill to fill up all the gaps in between every single cut. Now, one thing I did forget to mention in the previous segment is your FUTS track. And so if you have dialogue that you recorded on set that needs to be altered in a manner that doesn't involve cleaning up the audio, then you put that on your FUTS track. And so normally audio clips that go on the FUTS track are a character talking over the phone, or in Murphy's Law, a character talking through a bullhorn.
Yeah, okay. Well, Craig, at least you got that baby.
And so you can see that when we recorded it on set, I recorded it with him pretending to be talking in the bullhorn. And now when I mix it later on, I'm going to have to take the audio on this FUTS track and make it sound like it's actually coming through a bullhorn. And so that's how you use your FUTS track in a very basic way. So to sum it up, when you're dialogue editing, you're going to go through your AAF on a shot-by-shot basis to find the cleanest audio clip from that shot. Then you're going to pull down that clip to the dialogue tracks and then organize it so that you can checkerboard each character's dialogue. So then you're going to find some fill to smooth out all the cuts the editor made in between each shot. And then if you need to clean up that audio clip, you're going to duplicate and add the original to the X track, and then using some plugins, you'll clean up the clip that's on the above dialogue track. And so now that we added all of this new audio, let's make sure we save our session so we don't lose all of our work. And instead of just hitting File Save, let's do a special feature in Pro Tools called Save Copy In. And so what Save Copy In does is it allows you to make a complete backup of your session, including all of the audio files. And let's click OK. And then I'm going to save this into my editorial session. And then I'm going to rename it Editorial DX Edit, because that's the type of work that I just did. And then today is the 23rd, and we'll click Save. And so now it's going to process all of your audio and the Pro Tools session and save it into our new backup session. So this concludes this tutorial on dialogue editing, and in the next tutorials, we're going to do our editorial work for the rest of the families. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.